My name is Max Stein, and I love video games.
I'm the Megabuck. I really love video games.
I'm Raph, and I also love video games.
Welcome to the Game Treasure Podcast, where we discuss treasure video games of yesterday, today, and tomorrow.
I do a terrible robot.
This week, we've got a special message from the king of video games. Is this being spoiled by the title of this episode? Maybe. You probably already know what the episode's about. But anyhow, I like to contain a little bit of mystery within the universe that I call the king of video games messages. But before we get into that, as per usual here at Game Treasure Podcast, RetroGameTreasure.com and the Megabuck are going to take us back in time with this week's Retro Zone. Buck, would you like to please hit me?
Let's go back in time. Okay,
You're on.
if I was a superhero and I had a bunch of money,
sorry.
do you think I would dress like a bat and beat up bad guys?
Isn't that a line from the original Batman, or no?
I don't know, but I hope that it is.
I feel like
that's such a
the
good
Tim
one.
Burton one might have
The
that.
question
in there
is,
somewhere.
which one has he brought?
How about the one that brought Batman back to the form that he's in now in the gaming world? I'm talking
Oh.
about Batman Arkham Asylum.
I didn't
maybe
think
a
you were going to go this
Metroidvania?
late. Still retro.
PS3.
but definitely really good.
The PS3 came out just over 18 years ago, so it's almost
Jiminy
2 decades
Christmas.
old.
It can legally vote.
Sorry,
and
guys, if that's not retro
shoot
to you,
a
you're in denial.
shotgun.
Dude, honestly, so Batman Arkham Asylum for me is I've heard this game and BioShock argued as being Metroidvanias, but I think this is the one that I could definitely say is a Metroidvania.
So
It's
you're
Alright.
saying 3D
ability locked.
Metroidvania.
What's up?
All right, you guys
3D
ready for this?
Metroidvania is the
Yeah.
idea. Okay.
You ready for this take?
Uh-huh,
I almost wanted to do an entire episode of our show about games that are good that we don't like.
Oh,
Because
that's
this for
controversial.
me
Oh,
is
boy.
a game that I know is good.
Hmm.
I don't like it.
Really?
I don't like
Play
it at all.
Okay,
No
I
way.
could see
Hot
some of
take.
that. Did you play it when it came out?
Yes.
Interesting.
Because
the
I was
biggest-
like, I want to feel like Batman. And at the time, I think one of the problems was that I was fully at this moment in time, Grant Morrison, Alan Moore out. Because
Oh,
Grant
that's-
Morrison's
oh.
Batman is rocking. Batman and Robin is coming out in trade paperback with
Okay.
Tom Quitely. And I'm just such a diehard, like, deep cut boner Batman person that's
Batman
being like, because,
snob.
I'm an art snub guy.
Yeah.
When I'm talking about Batman, I'm not just like talking about how much ass he kicks. Like, I'm talking about how he's a unique superhero because his power is that he has a curse on him. Like, kind of type deal. Like, and
in a
This
This-
game
yeah,
is chock full of that kind of thing, though. Like the
but
sort of weird,
I felt like it felt
detectiveness,
so
like-
superficial. I
Raph
felt
is right,
it was
though.
it was
Sounds like you just didn't
It's
play it
got
far
a
enough.
lot. But honestly, a lot of that stuff is locked behind,
Have
secret areas and stuff like
Sure,
that.
I
Like,
collected all the Riddler
Have you
clues in this
read-
game.
The Black Glove
Oh, yes.
by Grant Morrison.
I
Mhm.
don't think I have actually.
Oh,
It's
that's
all
good-
about
good
a
shit.
secret society that is basically it takes the Illuminati to take Batman down. And
What about Court of
what I'm
Owls, the
getting at is
secondary Illuminati?
Court
no,
of
my
Owls
point is
is-
that's
yeah.
the difference.
Yeah.
Like the Court of the Owls, very
Mhm.
popular Batman run.
Mhm.
Not artistic enough for me. Not
it
psychedelic
really-
enough. Not strange enough. I'm telling
Right.
you got to read like Time in the Batman is like
I've
the
read Time in the Batman,
Evangelion
I think.
of
That's-
Batman comics, where you're like,
That's when he was
what
dead?
is that's no, he's not dead. He gets sent back in time
Well, yeah,
because
that's why I say dead.
well, no,
everyone thought he
the
was dead.
important part is you can't even put quotation marks on it because in that book you basically find out that you can't kill Batman. That's his superpower. His superpower is he has so much willpower, fate will not allow him to be killed. So that's why
That's the difference between
Darkseid
Black
decides
Glove
to
and
send
Court
him
of
back
Owls.
in time,
Yeah.
and it's so
So,
kooky.
Darkseid
There's
did that.
moments in
Good-
Time
good
in the
book.
Batman where Superman goes to the end of time,
Yeah.
and that does deserve quotes because like when they get there, it's just a
Mhm.
liminal space. It's
Right.
just white, and he's in a time machine, and the only entity who is alive is Batman. And how he is alive is he is a robot with his brain inside of just like a coffin-shaped robot.
That's very.
And all
Batman,
it
yeah.
does at the end of time, the
very
only
Grant
entity left
Morrison,
is
yeah.
Batman, and all he does is catalog everything. because
very
he's Batman.
Batman,
So
very Grant
this
Morrison,
game,
yeah.
this game, you
I
play
now
as
regret that I
Batman.
brought a Batman game.
In this game, you play as Batman and you do a bunch of punching. You punch a bunch. You throw
Okay,
things
kids.
and you punch. And this is my number one gripe with it: detective vision.
Okay,
didn't
I was
like
gonna
it.
bring.
told
Okay,
me
I was,
You
how
have
you
to
don't
play
like detective vision
so
games, and
much
that's
of the
it. Yeah.
game in this
I was going to bring it
horrible
up.
blue
Well, you already-
X-ray view. I fucking hated it so much.
So you already completely hijacked the retro zone. So because I was going to get there.
You know what? Go
I have
ahead
so
and-
many opinions on
So
this game.
my point was going to be that, and the reason why I asked is if you played this when it came out or if you played the later ones, is because after the first one in the other Arkham series, they realized that the detective vision was overbearing the way that they presented it,
Mhm.
and the fact that Batman had to walk every time he used it and all that kind of shit. So they definitely improved that starting from the second one in the series. I think some of the redeeming qualities of this game, if you're not an art snob, are the
Precisely.
free flow combat. The fact that it feels so good to fight as Batman. It's the same combat system that Rocksteady ended up using in the Mad Max game, which is also a phenomenal game where free flow combat really shines. This one, one of the reasons why I do enjoy this one over the later ones that came is because it's self-contained inside Arkham Asylum, right?
Mhm.
There is no complete exploration of Gotham City, which is totally cool that that's what you get, and then the Batmobile in the third and everything else. But I kind of enjoyed the fact that it was like it made me feel like Metal Gear Batman, because I was trapped in there, or they were trapped in there with me. All of those different villains, yeah. Art snobbing aside, because he is right. If you've only read mainstream Batman comics, there are some amazing Batman, let's call them one shots, because some of them are kind of self-contained
because they're
with one
totally
another.
like
Different
studies on
universes.
the essence
Right.
of Batman.
the concept of Batman.
But when you
Yes.
talk about Batman in video games, if you compare this back to a lot of the other iterations that we got, you almost have to go like back to Batman Returns on the SNES or one of the Batman NES games to get good Batman games.
That's a good point.
A lot of the stuff in between almost has like Friday the 13th syndrome. It's like, ooh, this is not a game I want to play, really.
Yeah,
Or
it
Shaq
definitely
Fu, like
belongs in
Batman and
that
Robin.
family of Batman beat 'em ups, that long tradition of Batman beat 'em ups. This one being the best Batman beat 'em up.
Right.
But
it gets into in this one in particular, but the other ones as well too. There is some really cool lore stuff in this one. There's really fun Easter eggs with some of the people that you don't get to see in Arkham, but you know they were there. Like when you go by, I don't remember. Do you remember Calendar Man was in his cell, or you just got to see his cell empty? in this game?
Calendar
That's
Man, I
cool.
believe, is in his cell in this game.
And it's one of those things where I think he's even giving clues to things during it, and it's all very subtle and part of the fun, you know.
Yeah.
He gives clues to the end of the game in that one. I remember.
Right.
He gives,
but I
these
think
little
that
subtle
either
hidden
Paul
clues.
Dini, I think Paul Dini might have written a lot of this game.
I
So
think
you get
so.
the Batman
I was gonna
animated
say, not to
series
be the
vibe.
the only poo-pooer. Things good about this game. Voice acting. It's got Mark
Yes.
Hamill. It's got what's his
Yes.
name? Kevin Conroy
Kevin
as
Conroy,
Batman.
I think it's the
Phenomenal.
last thing that Mark Hamill did as the Joker, if I remember right. Right? I don't know if he did anything else after this,
Oh,
because
did he
they
do
got
the other
another
ones?
guy, and I think
That's
his
a good
voice couldn't
question.
handle doing this character anymore.
That makes
That's a good
sense.
question.
Yeah.
Or
Um,
skips.
So, looks good.
Yes.
Technically speaking, when the PS3, I personally am not a fan of the body dysmorphia fucking Batman with the giant muscles,
he's pretty
like
ripped, yeah.
the Frank Miller build of him. I like my Batman to be slightly more
Oh, man.
slender.
I've
Sure.
got shit to say about Frank Miller.
Yeah.
I'm not going to right now, but I've got
I
shit to say
forgot
about Frank
about the
Miller.
comic book nerds in the room and
Yes.
the
Yeah.
rift that bringing this game. I regret it.
No,
already.
no.
I'm sorry.
'cause if people, I'm sure people will be like, Mac, you don't know what you're talking about. This is an amazing game. And it's like, you're right.
fair.
But that's why I preface it. Games that are good that
Yeah.
I don't like,
Mm.
because this game is half mindless beat 'em up and half stealth game. And I don't like stealth either.
Oh, I love stealth
I've-
games. That's the thing.
I've-
with me.
I
I
can't-
got
I've
you.
with
never
great
beaten Metal
writing
Gear
and
because
great
I was
voice
like,
acting.
I don't like being so helpless. But
But you're not, because you're Batman.
you know what? I wanted to say, you know what my favorite Batman game is? The game that I think makes you feel most like Batman? The Telltale Batman series.
Oh, those are good.
That's a good choice.
Those
That
are
is
good.
a really good choice.
Have you
yeah.
ever played the short Batman VR game? I think
Yeah,
it's
that
on
was cool
Steam
too.
VR.
Oh, shit, I
Yeah,
didn't
That
even
game's
know
a
that was a
lot of
thing.
fun. It's all detective Batman. Again, if you're a big time Batman fan, then you really know Batman is an amazing detective, and oh yeah, also he can kick everyone's ass. But
right.
when they go from the amazing detective aspect is when the Batman stories really shine. It's kind of like how in Dungeons and Dragons, after you played like your first campaign, you realize that fighting is fun, but the storytelling and the interaction is way more fun than the fighting.
Agree
With-
wholehearted. That's almost snob hat worthy, because I can't, like, that's my exact encapsulated point, where I was like, when I think of Batman, like if you read Batman comics, like
You think of psychology.
it's just like Buck said, he's just like
Sure.
a genius. His superpower is that he's so fucking prepared and smart. And so when the game says you be that now, I'm like, that kind of defeats the whole thing, is because like Batman's thing is that he's like way better than me in everything, not because he's a superhero, but because he's just an incredibly like, I don't know how you could turn calculation into a game mechanic. In this game, they try to do it with like, you got to set up how you're going to jump the guys, and you start by throwing a boomerang, and then you jump down and you throw a smoke bomb, and then you go away, and then you come back. And it just didn't hit for me like at all.
You want to know some stupid
making a
nerdy
note here,
bullshit
do
about
not
Batman?
bring comic book video games for these dinguses.
I was about
Got
to
it.
say, you know what, dude, as a Batman fan and as a Green Lantern fan,
Green
Did you
Lantern's
know
never
that-
gotten a good game.
That's why you
I
really
know,
hate
yeah.
Frank Miller, right? I bet you're about to bring up All-Star
no,
Batman.
I was actually going to
Okay.
bring up a piece of Batman lore, which I think is pretty awesome. So Batman is one of the few characters in the DC universe that could potentially wield both a green and yellow ring, which is kind of
I
awesome.
love me some Darkest Night. Yes,
Yeah. Actually, he
Blackest Night,
tried.
Blackest Night.
There was about to be a yellow ring that was going to be given to Batman at some point during the Sinestro Corps War, and he refused to take it.
Yeah.
Which
great
is
stuff.
also awesome because it kind of forces itself upon you. But also, I believe that Batman could actually wield every single ring in the spectrum, and maybe every ring in the spectrum, in my opinion.
Not if there's
But,
any
yeah.
one about kindness or something like that.
There is one about
so
There's no empathy ring. Yes, there is. Isn't that purple?
Yeah.
Isn't
That
one of
is-
them, one of them empathy?
The pink one, yeah.
That is an excellent retro zone. I just, when you brought it up, I was like, now's my opportunity to talk all the shit that I have to the internet about this game that everyone loves.
Yeah.
And I'm like, listen, I don't like it at all.
I want to
but
do a
it's-
whole episode on that, Mac. That'd be great if we just like.
I
it's
thought
like-
so.
It's like
We can
Buck,
all name a game that is good that we hate.
Buck
That
brings
is
up
true.
like
Just
a
like me
list
with
of
Pearl
games that are
Jam. I
good.
love grunge music. I just don't like Pearl Jam. I'm sorry.
There you go. They're like one of the kings. It doesn't matter. It's just
Yeah.
sometimes you just go, this did not hit.
If I could throw U2 and Pearl Jam off a cliff, I'd do it.
Fuck you too.
Yeah, fuck you too.
All
Yeah,
day.
no,
Fuck
actually,
you
I think
too.
that's something we can all
Um,
agree upon. Fuck you too.
Okay. Well, so Arkham Asylum, profile-wise,
Mhm.
if you are a retro game treasure subscriber,
Mhm.
this is a beat 'em up, right? I mean,
So
did
we
you
tend
do
to put beat 'em
puzzles?
ups. We tend to put games more like Batman Returns or Double Dragon in the beat 'em up category. You're right. This does have puzzles as well, and so because it kind of encompasses a couple different categories, we'll put it in the action adventure category because it scratches that itch at the same time as well too.
Mm.
And then we also have sub genres for superheroes.
Mm.
So if you don't like superheroes, you don't select that. You're not going to get Arkham Asylum. You'll get, a different type of action adventure like Uncharted or something else, in that same kind of vein, but it doesn't have the superhero vibe.
Nice.
Cool.
Oh, cool. Well, go to www.retrogametreasure.com, sign up, set your preferences, and you too can get a copy of this overrated ass beat. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. All right, we're going to take it. It's beloved. It's beloved, I know. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we have a very special message from one of my favorite people on the entire planet, the king of video games. We'll be right back.
I just wanted to bring down your grim facade and for once let you see the world as I see it, giggling in a corner and bleeding. But you've denied me even that.
Okay, gentlemen, we are back. And as promised, I got a message from the king of video games. Let's see what he wants from us this week.
My lords, my ladies, I now present to you the king of video games. Oh, hello everyone. Hello, Game Treasure crew. It is I,
Hi,
the
King.
king of video games, once again beseeching you a request. This weekend, my father, the king of gambling, is taking us to my uncle's house in New Jersey, and I'm going to bring a video game with me to play in the car. Nobody, just peasants. Okay, Mommy. Sorry, I didn't mean that. Anyhow, I'm going to bring a video game to play with me in the car, but I need your help. Which portable video game should I bring? Help, I need game gems.
Coming, mother.
King of video games. You can't play video games in the car. You're gonna get sick. Listen to your mom. What are you doing?
Well, he's got to make sure that the Game Boy has one of those magnifier screens on it, and then you
Yeah.
have the little worm light that's above that light there too, so it lights up. Otherwise, you have to wait for the street lights to go by so you can actually see your screen.
King of video games. You're gonna throw up.
Yeah.
You're gonna throw up in the car. Don't do it.
One of our buddies did that
Is
one
it
time when he
just
was
me, or
playing my
is-
Atari Lynx.
Is the king getting a little more on, like, every time I see him, I just feel like he's getting more and more unhinged.
Did you hear his mom in the background? Were you
Yeah.
able to hear her?
Yeah, just a bit. Yeah.
I couldn't make it all out.
She
though.
calls him the king of video games.
That's what she calls
That's
him.
just his
Interesting.
name. He doesn't have
Oh.
a name. Yeah, the king of video games.
You know, this is a good time to mention that we have merch, and you can get a shirt featuring the King of Video Games
Yes,
on
we
it.
do.
And Mac's going to put it on screen right now so you can
That's
check
right.
it out.
Yes.
Well, handheld video games. Here's the thing: King of video games. He has access to all video games, right?
yeah.
So we're not. What's it called? Like stuck to one system. We're talking every video game handheld console we could possibly pick from. But we probably don't want to do the Switch because that's like cheating, right? King of video games. Right. Okay, I agree.
You sound
Hey,
like him.
Listen,
uncanny.
I know I've been practicing my impression.
still-
Mr. Venacore is not here, but I did give him the heads up that the King of Video Games was looking for handheld video games, and he got so excited, and I knew exactly what game he wanted to talk about. He got so excited that he made us a bonus round to watch. So I'm going to play that first, and we could talk about the game that Mr. Venacore mentions here.
I love it.
Hey friends, Vinny here coming at you with a bonus round. I am so bummed I couldn't be there today because I want to talk about one of my favorite series of all time, and that is the Ace Attorney, also known as Phoenix Wright in the US, Gyakuten Saiban. It is a courtroom visual novel, and originally it was on the DS and 3DS exclusively. It was a Nintendo title. The first game actually debuting on the GBA way back when. And visual novels were never so popular in the US, but Phoenix Wright just found a way to make it work, and it became popular in the US. You play as one of the many attorneys in the series, and you go about interviewing people, finding evidence, because in every single case you are solving a murder. And it gets very interesting, the little quirks and little methods and things that you can do to solve these murders. You're on a DS dusting for prints with the DS stylus. You're doing like things with spirit mediums and seeing the moment of death in some games. It's just an excellent series. I think one of Capcom's greatest. And I think one of the greatest things about the Phoenix Wright and the Ace Attorney series in general are the characters. It is some of Capcom's best work. The writing is superb. The characters are absolutely stellar. And I can't think of a single bad title in the Phoenix Wright universe. And I think there's a total of, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I believe there's a total of 10 games. So yeah, it's a long one. If you've never heard of Ace Attorney, highly encourage you to check out. It's no longer just on Nintendo systems. You can get everything on pretty much any console. PlayStation, Switch. The original trilogy is on iOS. You can play it on your iPad or your phone. Steam, the sky's the limit. If these games are very accessible, I would highly recommend it. And I know Buck can add a little bit of flavor to this. That's about it for me today, guys. I will see you next time. This has been Venny with the bonus round. See ya.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Mr.
All
Venacore.
right.
I
We
knew
were
he
chat-
was going to bring that game up. He
Yeah,
brought
he
it up in
loves
our
them so
puzzle games episode.
I believe he has cosplayed as Phoenix Wright more than once at like a Dragon Con. So yeah,
That's-
there was no doubt in my mind on that too.
That's good.
And I actually love that series as well. So I'm glad he was going to bring it up because otherwise I was going to have to bring it up there too. I own all of the original 3 Phoenix Wright games on DS, which I played all 3 of those too. Played 2 of the 3 Apollo Justices, which were like the continuation of this with Phoenix's like protege and that. Then they went back and they did Miles Edgeworth, which were more like point and click kind of ones because he's the prosecutor, not the attorney, right? We didn't get the second Miles Edgeworth game originally. They just released a collection that has the second one, which is super cool.
Yeah.
And
That
then
just
they
came
did
out.
the flashback ones, the ones in history with Phoenix's ancestor,
It was
Ryunosuke.
just Sherlock Holmes.
Which is just Sherlock Holmes, pretty much. But they're also, he's absolutely right. if you've never played visual novels before, they're an acquired taste. If you
Yeah.
don't want to just kind of follow along and maybe choose some selections, they're not that engaging for most of us. And this game found a way to make it like critical thinking puzzles mixed into it. It wasn't just, the famous objection. You would do that because the person on the stand would say, yeah, but it couldn't have been me because, the clock said 2:30. Remember, if you hit the clock, it vocally speeches, it says it's 2:30, it's 2:30. And then you say objection because that clock was imported from a different country and the time zone was off. So when it said 2:30, it was actually 12:30. So you could have been the murderer. And you're like, whoa,
Good shit. Yeah.
stuff like that constantly. So it's a wonderful series with a lot of fun and flair. They added a lot of cool anime stuff in the later ones. Really nice tie-in with all the characters. Gosh, just like when I was talking about the DS Castlevanias and how when I talked about that new Dominus collection.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these Phoenix Wrights were like the DS ones, especially the first couple we got like 5 Phoenix Wrights in like 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
On the DS. Like we were
The
eating so good.
I have to agree with him on that. Not only is Phoenix really funny and like relatable and lovable, he
Mhm.
has, I can't remember the name of his assistant, his female
Maya.
clairvoyant assistant. Yes.
Maya.
And she
That's amazing. I'm sorry.
she goes from being like an innocent version of herself to like a sexy version of herself. She like flips back and forth between like two, like I think like it's like her sister's spirit, her older sister's spirit or something like this.
Spoiler, her sister, who is Phoenix's like partner in the very first game, in the very first case, she dies.
Yeah.
And so there's lots of flashbacks with her older sister as well.
But for a
too.
puzzle game that's about being a lawyer, it didn't have to be so cute.
It
And
didn't
then,
have to
so
be
when
so
it is,
good.
you're like, this is nice. It's
Yeah.
got like anime storyline, and then Phoenix is like
Yeah.
you're rooting for him because he's a defense attorney, and they're Edgeworth
Oh,
is
man.
so relentless with his
It's so good.
accusations, and he'll just say lies and
Yeah.
things like this, and so
Sometimes
very
it's a
compelling
prosecutor, it's
gameplay.
fine.
Yeah.
If you're not a huge fan of these and you wouldn't know if you would like the story, there's an anime. And I only watched the first couple
I didn't
episodes
know
because
that.
I watched the first couple episodes and I'm like, this is just the game.
This
These
is
are
just
the-
Detective
these are
Conan.
it's just, but they're literally just the cases from like the first game.
Oh wow, really? So you know what the
Damn.
ending's gonna be already?
I already know what's
Right.
going to happen to his buddy.
That's
His
funny.
buddy's name whose name is like Butts or something like that. I already
Detective
know what happens.
Gumshoe, great character. He's like the
Yep.
cop that works. He's like a private, or not private detective, but he is a detective from the
He's a
police
police
force who's
detective,
always
yeah.
showing up at the crime scenes, and he's like an idiot. But you have to get his help in order to prove, like Buck said, that the clock was actually from a different country, and blah
Yeah.
blah blah.
A lot of fun.
Damn,
Lot
I've
of
never
fun.
played these games. I
Oh,
really
No?
they're
Oh,
a lot of
man.
fun.
I should really.
This
I've
is
never
one of
played
the
any
first
of
gets
them.
for the DS for me.
Yeah, that's right. If you
Yeah.
have a DS or a 3DS, because that plays DS games as well too, you definitely play those.
Literally
sure.
yelling objection into the microphone.
Oh, that's
The newer ones you
awesome.
can. I
Yeah.
forgot about that. I mean,
No
just
way.
tapping the objection feels
You
so
just
good.
tap it or press a button, but
Objection.
you could also be like objection as
Mhm.
soon as you have that moment in your head, like Buck just said,
Mhm.
because you have to have that moment internally before you can, you know what I mean? You go,
Yeah.
oh shit. It's like
Yeah.
the game is like taking the LSAT, like the law school
Never-
entrance
never done
exam.
that.
You know what I mean? Like I
I'm
did
gonna
a
say
just
okay.
like that. It's just
I did
like
a prep course for that test. It was almost impossible, but it required you to hold many hours or of information, lots of information in your
Mhm.
head
And be
simultaneously.
able to recall it.
Because I never beat Phoenix Wright because I got to like the last case and it gets hard where I'm
It
just
does.
like, I cannot see the hole in this guy's story to save my
You have to
fucking
pay
life.
attention
And
to clues. And
that's
yeah.
a game where it's just like,
they're that tough.
yeah,
It's lots of context clues and it's lots of critical thinking. It's not like Professor Layton's series where it's
No.
like, put this matchstick here and it makes a house. It's critical thinking stuff.
That
So it
sounds
does. It'll twist.
awesome.
It'll make you think.
I would
Yeah.
love that. That sounds
They're fun.
amazing.
They're
I
a lot.
should check these games
There are a
out.
lot of them, but you can start at the very beginning, and they sell the collection for the Switch and others, and even on Steam and stuff. Start with the original trilogy.
I have a
Good place to start.
game
Let's go.
that I'll talk about since Mr. Venecor brought up a detective game for the Nintendo DS. I've got another detective game for the Nintendo DS that not a lot of people played that whoops lots of ass. Hotel Dusk Room
Oh,
215.
yes. I was I almost talked about it too.
So this game is published
game.
by Nintendo, but I didn't
Mhm.
realize that it's developed by just like it's Sing is the name of the company. CING.
Sure.
No
why not?
idea. So in 2007 this comes out. It is also a mystery game, but this one is even more visual novelty than
Yes.
than Phoenix Wright is, because like Venny said, like at least in Phoenix Wright for the DS, you got some print dusting things or other things where you move around. This game is really just like you talking to people.
Mhm.
Like, because you play as a former detective who has checked into this hotel called the Hotel Dusk because you're looking for your old partner who allegedly checked into this hotel with your name, like under your name some time ago. And so you're looking for him, but you're not a cop anymore. But anyhow, you check into room 215, and then it turns out that room 215 is like magical. Like it's like a room that grants wishes. I won't get into it because literally the point is to do the story. But
Yeah.
the game consists of walking around Hotel Dusk, which is you hold the DS normal and you got a top-down map view on the bottom screen where it's like super similar. It's like you're a dot and you're in like a blueprint of the hotel. But then the top screen is a first-person view of the hotel from where you are, like your actual perspective.
Cool.
And so you have to move around the hotel while like looking at the bottom screen. And then every once in a while you look up and you'll be like, hey, that lamp looks funny. Let me go look at that lamp. And then you'll figure out that it was, the power cord is detached from the wall or something. And you're like, that's unusual. And then when you actually want to interact with somebody or take notes, you flip the DS counterclockwise
Sideways like a book.
so that the touchscreen is on your right-hand side, and then the regular screen is on your left-hand side, and then your character will show up on the left-hand side, and the person you're talking to is on the right, and then you pick your like dialogue prompts with the right-hand stylus. And then when you want, like when something happens, you go, I want to remember that later. You have to physically like go to a blank page in your notebook and then use the stylus to like scribble in some bullshit.
Oh.
So there'll be times when you like have an important date that you need to remember because someone says something suspicious, and then you're like, October 5th, huh? I'm going to write that down. And then you like write down 10-5, like so-and-so did this. And so then when you're going through your notes, you're like going through all these actual scribbles that you've made. You end up like drawing
Which is where
pictures
I'd get in
because it's
trouble.
hard to explain shit sometimes. And so
My
you just
handwriting sucks.
draw what you're talking about. It's a dope game. I just remember
Yeah.
the holding it like the book being like, whoa, this is
Mhm.
cool. It's
Neat
two
idea.
vertical portraits, and so when your guy is talking, it's like his full portrait, and the art of it is like pencil drawing. So like when the guys are talking to each other, it's like anime pencil art, and they're sort of like gifs. Like they move a little bit, like while they're talking, they're like, I can't explain it, but it looks amazing. But yeah, Hotel Dusk, Room 215, King of Video Games. If you can't get your hands on Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, you could probably go one step down in quality and get Hotel Dusk, Room 215. It's a
cool game, too.
badass Nintendo DS game. Buck, why don't you hit us with a handheld game gem for the king?
I'm going to go to a console that you guys probably didn't think I would go to with a game that I loved, and that is God of War Ghost of Sparta for the
Oh,
PSP.
shit.
Interesting.
What a
I
fascinating
did not
choice.
see you picking this.
Fun fact, the Megabuck has played every mainline God of War game, except Ragnarok. I haven't gotten to Ragnarok yet. So I played the three on the original consoles back on PS2, and I played both the PSP ones, and I played the newer one. So not the mobiles and the other dumb bullshit ones, but I played all the mainline ones. There's two PSP God of War games, Chains of Olympus and Ghost of Sparta, and Ghost of Sparta is just such a blast. Like it was like bridge the gap between PS2 and PS3 graphics, but on a handheld because it's smaller, can do it. The controls were just so much fun. The variety of the weapons was a lot of fun. It was like a origin discovery and another redemption arc thing for Kratos, but the story doesn't really matter. It's God of War, right? What matters is like the gameplay and the fun and everything else.
At this stage of God of War.
In this stage of God of War,
Right,
that's right. Yes, once they rebooted it, holy shit, that reboot one was amazing.
Right.
But you have really cool additional weapons that I don't think you'd had before, like Poseidon's Trident, the Eye of Atlantis, a couple other ones too. There is one scene in particular, one fight in particular that I forget what part in the story it was, but it takes place on like a ship, like a sailboat, like a pirate ship kind of ship that is just in the middle of a terrible storm. And at some points between the fights, it is rolling and pitching while you're fighting enemies. And it was just like, I'm holding this in my hand, playing in the dark, probably in bed at night. And I'm just going, holy holy shit.
like
this
I'm
is-
kicking so
this
much
is-
ass.
but this is on a
No,
on a
yeah.
handheld is what I was thinking. Like I
Yeah.
can't believe they could pull this off on a freaking handheld on the little mini PSP discs.
Damn, the PSP was
It
ahead
was.
of its
Well,
time.
I was looking through PSP
Yeah.
games in preparation for this, and I was like, man, yeah,
It was really
holy
ahead
shit,
of
it was
its time.
strong.
Yeah.
Man, I'm
There's
looking
some
at
great
some of these
ones.
Metal Gear games, and I was like, I forgot Peace
I was
Walker
gonna
looked
say,
so good.
There's more than a few game gems I could bring on the PSP and will over the years as we do the
Honestly,
podcast
yeah.
for sure. But that was one of the most fun too. Mac can't show it, but I sent it to these guys anyway. There's a scene in that, a lot of the God of War, especially the old ones, have those scenes where like you can go to the Greek brothels and
Yeah.
meet up
Oh,
with a
yeah,
bunch of the
yeah,
girls and
Have
get
sacks.
a bunch of points. But the one in this is
Segs.
just like stupid over the top. The pixelated PS2 caliber boobies. And like it's him. You can only see the foot of the bed. Two girls go in with him. Two more peek around the corner and see what's going on. So like another one joins, and then another one joins, and then two of them join it. There's like 8 women in
It's
here.
that
at this
scene from
point.
Black Dynamite.
That's
And
so
you're like,
Quiet
yeah,
down, honey.
dude.
You'll wake up the other bitches. You wake up-
Sony, what the hell were you doing with this? But it's a little
awesome.
funny.
Oh,
But
man.
I put it in there just for you guys for a
That's a
treat. You
good
can't
one.
show them there, but
Incredible.
show that boat scene maybe on here as
Yeah.
well too. But great.
Raph, how about
Good
you
one.
give us a game gem of the portable variety?
Oh man, you know what? Like, I actually got 2 today. If you guys don't mind.
I was
do
thinking
one.
we could go. Might do
You wanna
another
do like
round
a-
if we
okay,
have enough
all right.
time.
So I'll give my first one, which is like probably one of my favorite handheld game that I've played, and I played it recently. Spoiler alert: I did play it on the Switch because it's on Nintendo Switch Online, but it's a
That's
Game Boy
fair.
Advance game.
Nice.
It's Metroid Zero Mission.
Ooh,
Mhm.
baby.
Dude, this game
Ooh.
fucking slaps, man.
Zero Mission
Honestly,
is
from
fire.
like beginning to end, with a little exception when you play as Zero Suit Samus, I thought that was the weakest part of the game. But it's basically the first Metroid, just with updated graphics, updated gameplay. It feels much faster, much smoother. But holy hell, man, this game is fun as fuck, man. I spent so much time just exploring Zeebs and just like getting lost in it, and it's got a few like good quality of life features that it kind of guides you a little bit. It does a little bit of like guiding hand on you.
Yeah.
Like, all right, like you got to go kind of this direction, but you can do that if you want. But yeah, dude, Metroid Zero Mission is just an amazing game. It sounds fantastic. They
That
took
was a
all of-
remake of Metroid 1, right?
Yeah, the first
Right.
Metroid,
Basically.
which a lot of people are not big fans of Metroid 1. I'm actually a big defender of the first Metroid. I think it's a fantastic game. It's just old. It's a little clunky.
Yeah.
But I still love that game.
It was
know what's
missing the
interesting
quality of
about-
life stuff it needed.
Those Zero Mission in
Yeah.
particular is that it has the art style of Super Metroid,
Mm-hmm.
but when you watch it and you listen to it, it's so obviously different tonally
Yeah,
than
sure.
Super Metroid.
It
Yeah.
feels
Super
like
Metroid
Yeah.
feels like Alien,
Yeah.
and Zero Mission feels like Aliens.
Ooh,
Yes.
good.
Yeah,
right?
that's a
Good.
really
So,
good way
like,
of putting it.
comparison.
Absolutely.
There's
Good
it's
comparison,
just like
yeah.
the music is in Zero Mission is bum 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 bum
Yeah.
bum
Oh,
bum
man.
bum
Okay.
come on the mission. But
Okay.
meanwhile, you've got the Super Metroid music is just like there's like nothing at all.
Like
You're
the whole
"What
time.
fuck?"
Yeah.
Oh my God.
No,
The-
dude.
the-
All right, so I gotta say that there is nothing that just hype me up more
Yeah.
than when
And the music from
I,
Metroid, yeah.
dude, when I was playing as Zero Suit Samus for like an hour or so near the end of the game, and then you get the like Varia suit, you get your suit back, and the music
Mm.
just boom, 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 and then you're hauling ass, just blasting
John
the
Williams
shit
all of
out
a
of
sudden.
these like these
Oh, yeah.
same space pirates that were like all you could do before was just like just pause them, like freeze them in place, and you're
Yeah.
just fucking decimating them. There's actually one really cute
Love it.
little Easter egg that I didn't notice until I saw it on Reddit later. Someone noted that there is an area when you come back with the full suit, there's one of these space pirates that's hiding in the shadows above the walkway, and he just stays there. He doesn't fight you. He just stays up there
It's like,
because
fuck,
he's
fuck
scared
that.
of you.
I'm not messing with her.
Yeah, he's
No way.
scared of you. That
That's
same
awesome.
one.
The
he would
Game
mess
Boy
with you.
Advance was
Yeah.
at the time, especially when it came out too. I was like in college, and this is the Nintendo SNES 2. This is the Super Nintendo
Yes.
2. It was a portable. All of the great stuff when everything else was going PS1 and then PS2 3D everything. We were still getting these gorgeous sprites. We were getting like the precursor to all these great indie games that we get now, right? All the
Mhm.
Metroidvanias and the other ones that we get, like Hyper Light Drifter or something,
Right.
that have the like hybrid graphics and music and stuff.
Yeah.
Great fucking game, man.
That's a great
one.
segue, Raph. I think we'll do a second round here because Game Boy Advance, I fucking love. I was gonna talk about. I don't think we'll have time for a third round. King of video games. Get Pokemon Black or White.
Ooh, okay.
Anyhow,
good choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About the Game Boy Advance, the game I wanted to suggest for that is actually kind of like a series of games, but you can get any one of them. Super Robo Tyson, or as they're known in North America, the Super Robo Wars games. So there's like 40 of them now. I'm not even joking.
There's
There's so many of them.
They've been doing them since the Famicom days.
These are, or they were at this time in the game. I'm not sure how they are now, but they're tactics games. They play
fun.
like Advanced Wars or Fire Emblem or any tactics game. However, the catch, the thing that this is so amazing for is that depending on which game you're playing, but one Super Robo Tyson A is a Japanese only game. But if you can manage to stumble your way through the Japanese, that game includes characters from basically every mecha anime that has ever existed up to that
Ultraman
point.
and Kamen Rider.
Ultraman, Mazinger,
Gundams.
Getter Robo, G Gundam, Gundam Seed, regular Gundam, like a bunch of robots that I don't even know because they're like just some Japanese show from the 1960s or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Damn, dude.
but
It's
it's
Japanese.
it plays exactly like Advanced Wars in Fire Emblem in the sense where you've got like the top-down, battle, but then when you actually attack units, fade to black, fade back up, and then you watch them fight from a side by side. Except instead of Advanced Wars, cool, got little army guys, that's fine. Fire Emblem, you got guys on horses. In this game, you got fucking Epion just like slashing through like Getter Robo or something. It's just like. All these IPs just like are amazing to see, and they're all I completely forgot to mention this in chibi form.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
They're all little chibi renditions of themselves with big heads and tiny little bodies, and it is
because now it's cute.
The first time I played one of these games was I talked about the first time I started emulating games in like the year 2000 on a Mac, like one of those Macs that were like the Blueberry one. Discovering this series and playing the Japanese one, Robo Tyson A, incredible. There's also one that'll be more accessible to you, King of Video Games, that's just called Super Robo Tyson Original Generation, which is the one that we first got for the Game Boy Advance. Downside to that one is that it's all original characters made for that game. So there are no IPs. Let's not do that. Yeah, it's not as fun, but it's kind of scratched the same itch.
That series mostly staged strategy style, like you said, Mac. But I think I had brought this up to you before because you didn't know it existed. Both on the Super Famicom and the GBA, they made Super Robo Tyson Dodgeball.
Yes,
I know. You get to play Super Dodgeball, but with chibi Ultraman and Epion and all these.
That sounds
so a great
so
strategy
your
game
shit
for the Game Boy Advance, King of Video Games. If you can pick up, you could probably get it for cheap. A copy of Super Robo Tyson A, because it's Japanese only. Buck,
we can get you those.
You got another one for the King.
I've got a really great one for you, King, that I think a lot of people overlooked, and that is Chocobo Fables for the Nintendo DS.
Oh, cute.
I don't remember.
I don't even know.
I linked you guys. Well, don't look at the video just yet. I linked you guys a video. This game, it has a really cute little story. It has all the chibi Chocobo and Black Mage and White Mage and everything else there. And the story has something to do with like a storybook, and the Chocobo has to do like different fun skills, almost like Mario Party mini games, like races and other things. But the underlying part they don't really push on you that's so awesome is, if you cue the video for you guys there, it has a card battle game built into it. A really fun card battle game built into it. You end up playing. I mean, look at the artwork.
Final
all of the
Fantasy Fables : Chocobo
Tales. Yes, Chocobo Fables, I think, is the short for it. So the characters are all 3D, like in the DS. You'll notice that what's the Moogle's name in that? Like Battler X or something like that. It's supposed to be like a Racer X Speed Racer joke.
Oh, that's funny.
But when you play the cards, the character cards you play are all like Paper Mario style paper characters. The goblins and even Shiva and Bahamut, they're all like paper style graphics for just the cards that you play. And so you're actually doing all these mini games to unlock cards for the card battlers. And it's a really simple system where the cards do damage, sometimes have a special. They have 4 different like colors or elements that it'll say they're either going to like attack or defend in that element. And so sometimes it's like a rock, paper, scissors, but with 4 choices kind of thing. Like, what's my opponent going to play? Is he going to play a red attack with a blue defend or something else different? So it becomes this giant fun strategy card battler game, but in like the cute chocobo Final Fantasy.
I've never seen or heard of this game before.
It got a lot of people did not play it because it got very overlooked. I remember when it came out, I found out about the card battling part, and I was like, forget if it's even Final Fantasy. That looks and sounds like a lot of fun. But you also do the little races and Mario Party mini games in between to earn cards too. Super fun, single player game, but super fun.
I love a good card battler. I'm such a
it's a pretty good little card battle, and the graphics are really fun and cute.
Looks cute.
Yeah.
Shit, Raph.
That's
Hit
a
us
gem
with another
king.
one.
So, as I've mentioned before, growing up, I was a big Mario kid, man. I grew up playing a lot of Mario games, and I last night actually unlocked a memory.
Ooh.
I didn't realize that I actually owned both of these games. Primarily, I want to talk about the second one, but that's Super Mario Land 6 Golden Coins on the Game Boy.
That would be the second one.
That's the second one.
That's the second one. Yeah. I owned both of them, the first one and the second one. I didn't even remember until I was playing these, and I was like, oh shit, I remember everything about this.
And now Max got to borrow it.
But King of Video Games, if you want a game to play in the
it.
car, I played this in the car quite a bit. This was my go-to, just like if my parents were driving me somewhere, it was too long of a drive. I had that big gray Game Boy, and then later on I had a Game Boy Color. I would play this, the entire car ride there. I was terrified of it though, because it's kind of weird. I don't know. It's weird for a Mario game. Like the game feels strange.
6 golden coins.
Yeah, 6 golden coins.
Both
The
of them,
world
but-
feels a little weird. My favorite, actually, last time I was playing, and I got to like the Halloween themed area, and I was like, this is cool. Like this is like my favorite area in the game. But man, this game is not easy either. I was like, oh shit, like this game was really difficult. I can't believe I played this as a kid.
Remember the submarine levels in the first one? Did the second one have any of those? Those were
I
wild.
don't
I
even
believe
remember.
so. Super Mario Land.
Super Mario Land, yeah.
Not that good. We had
Yeah,
Super
it's not-
Mario
yeah,
Land
yeah.
when we were kids. Here's the problem: is it is an early Game Boy game,
Right.
Sure.
so
yeah.
it suffers from old portable syndrome, which
It's
is like
ghosting
it's
issues.
gimped
Mario don't look good. Like the mushrooms aren't like a lot of enemies like drop like little balls, and you're like, is that a coin? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Or like
No,
the
he took a
fireballs.
crap, and you have to pick up the crap.
If you step on a turtle, it turns into a bomb. Like
all
the
sorts of
turtles-
really
something like that.
strange things where you're like, I can tell where they're like, can we do Mario? Not really. We
Yeah.
can do close to Mario. But then
How do you feel about Mario?
we have Mario at home. 6 golden coins. Mario Land 2 is the opposite of that.
Yeah.
That is an more towards end of life Game Boy game where Buck talked about how the Game Boy Advance is basically like Super Nintendo 2.
Yeah.
I realize now in my Game Boy collection that the Game Boy at the end of its life just becomes NES 2.
Yeah.
The Game Boy
Right.
Color and the Game Boy just become better than the Nintendo Entertainment System by the end of their life. And this was one of those games because Super Mario Land 2 is basically
Super Mario Brothers 3.
pre-Super Mario World.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or
Well,
Super
for me,
Mario 3 even.
It
Like
felt,
it's
that's what I was gonna say. I compare 1 to okay, so 1, not a great game, but honestly, if you look at it, it's really more like, they were like, let's take the concept of Super Mario Brothers 1 and make it into a Game Boy game, and they
Mhm,
got that.
yeah.
They did that fine.
Right.
It's perfectly acceptable. But then with this, they were like, let's make Super Mario Brothers 3, or kind of like that stage in between Super Mario Brothers 3 and Super Mario World, right? Like you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, and the biggest reason, in my opinion, that it's the jump between Super Mario 3 and Super Mario World is the worlds.
Yes.
So Super Mario 3 overworld map, not crazy complex, pretty much just squares that you walk
Go from one
onto.
to the
Right.
next. Yeah.
Super Mario World, incredible overmap,
Right.
tons of secrets, crazy. Super Mario Land 2, also amazing overworld. Like it's first of all, you can go, you walk on it, and you can pretty much go wherever you want. So like you'll start the game, and then it's like there's a cave over there, and there's a tree over there, and there's a beach over there where you want to go. And if you go to the tree, it's like you're doing the tree levels now. It's all bug theme stuff, and you're in a tree, and it's just like the levels look good. Like on my analog pocket, that shit
Oh yeah.
is basically like playing Super Mario World.
And
basically.
in between, honestly, in the levels themselves, it does the Super Mario World thing where there's multiple endings to each map. Possibly, there's 2 different goals sometimes on
Right.
some levels. There's little secrets within the levels. It's such an awesome game, dude.
And the
Like, I
overworld
fucking-
itself, like fully
Cool.
decked out.
Good
When I say
choice.
the
Yeah.
tree level, like it's got like cute
Yeah.
giant hornets on it and a big
Yeah.
squirrel, and like it's not just like a shitty pixel tree. You
And
know
this
what I
one's
mean?
super
Like,
accessible too. It's on the Nintendo Switch Online. It's super playable, super accessible. Anybody should definitely check it out. Honestly, it's
I think
one of
that's
my
an
favorite.
excellent pick.
Yeah.
King of video games, that's an affordable game too.
That
You can
is,
find
yeah.
that one pretty much everywhere. That and Donkey Kong 94 are 2 games starring Mario that no one ever talks about that are fucking kick ass.
Good ones.
Well, hey, that does it for our Game Gems handheld edition. I think King of Video Games, we're going to bid you adieu. You shouldn't play the games in the car because you're going to throw up, like your mom said. And we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to do our What Else You Got and go ahead and finish our episode up. Gentlemen, we're back, and it's time for our What Else You Got, the segment of our show where we're allowed to bring anything we would like to the table, be it video game or otherwise. This week, I do have a video game, and this is one that if you've been watching our Thursday streams, our weekly watch-alongs where we watch video game intros or outros or boss fights or Twisted Metal never before seen full motion video endings. I had mentioned that there's a game that I would like to start streaming possibly this week, but I didn't want to spoil what it was because I was hoping Vinny would be here so we could all have a big laugh at me and my love of playing games that are just doing jobs because I just started playing and am in love with a game called
Star Trucker.
Oh yes, yeah. No, this game is really cool.
This
though.
game is
You're-
fucking
man.
awesome.
Yeah.
This game released September of this year, published by a company called Raw Fury and developed by a company called
Magical.
Monster. So it is, if you're a gamer, you may have seen these immersive sim games in which you cross-country drive a truck in real time. So you'll see freaks on Twitch that'll be like literally like I'm playing a game in which I drive 2 hours from Tucson to New Mexico or something. And it's just the actual traffic and the actual highways. And the premise is that like you have to check your map and check your gas and all these things. And you got to watch out for traffic and you can't crash and you got to obey the speed limit. And it's one of those things that sounds so tempting, but then also sounds so fucking boring.
Right, yeah.
It has solved all of these problems. It replaces the mundanity of dealing with roads and traffic. Why would you want to do this in a video game? It
Me,
replaces
George Jetson.
it replaces those aspects of these
the
immersive
void of
sim
space.
games with things like manually having to maintain all of the parts of your space truck.
That is cool.
So
That is
when you hit space trash, because there is space trash in the real life world, and if you're driving, sometimes if you ain't paying attention, you're gonna
And
run
I'm not
into
talking
space
about you,
trash.
cousin Eddie.
And you and when you hit space trash, it'll do damage to your truck, and you have these screens in front of you that have like 1,000 different monitors that you can look at and switch between. And so you'll notice like on one of them, it'll be blinking. You go, oh, dang, I hit some space trash. Hold on. And you put your space truck in park, and then you got to go to the back of your space truck and put your space suit on so you can go out into space. And then you got to take some boards and some fucking torch and acetylene torch and repair the things in your thing. There's a different section of your truck that holds the batteries to all the different parts of you. Got an oxygen system, you got a waste management system, you've got gas, you've got electricity to manage, all of these things, all also with the backdrop of having to explore the universe, pick up cargo, and then transport it. And there's a big galactic map. It's like fucking, what's that, EVE Online, where you have to like manually like plan your space routes.
Yep.
So you do that, but you're a space trucker.
Yeah.
And so that's what you do as a trucker. And so it's just like the regular sim version of that, where you're like, I'm planning my trip from this part of New Mexico
Gotta
to
take
this other part of
I-95,
New
but I gotta go
Mexico.
this way past that really good
Yeah.
strip joint. And then
Instead, you are trying to plan which galaxies you want to jump through and why. and it's got this awesome Cowboy Bebop like bluegrass space
Oh,
music
yeah, the
playing
music
underneath
is
it the whole
awesome in
time.
this
I could dig
game.
that.
It was so cool. Of like, I just picked up 100 kilos of some fertilizer, and now I got to jump 3 star systems, and so I get into my cockpit, and I got to manually attach the cargo to the back of my truck using my gravity clutch.
That's awesome. That
It's
sounds
so good.
that actually
And
kind
then
of
I was
sounds
like,
extremely my
oh,
shit. Yeah.
Found
I
out
like
there's
this.
buttons to turn off the lights in the cab because it helped me see better while I'm traveling through space. Got to turn off all the cabin lights. Oh, hey, there's air conditioning because on the harder difficulties, you can freeze to death if you go through a galaxy that doesn't have a sun on account of it's too cold in that there galaxy.
On account.
It's so fucking good, dude. And I'm gonna put on a trucker hat and put on some stupid ass aviators and fucking stream myself space
Hell
trucking.
yeah, dude. I demand
Just
this.
you wait.
Yeah, you should do
This
it.
is demanded.
It's
Dude,
so
honestly,
fucking
like,
good, dude.
All jokes aside, it does remind me of Elite Dangerous, and I love that game. And like this, like honestly, like yeah, it's got a vibe, man. It's cool. It's cool.
It's really good.
I was watching.
There's a
him play the
CB
other day. It's
radio
fucking
that you can
awesome.
use to get missions, like side quests will pop up, and you'll be like, "Oh, I see the CB blinking." It's just some NPC like, "Hey, I couldn't make this delivery. Anybody want to pick it up and finish it for me?" And you're going, "Oh, that's
pretty
along
good.
the way on my space jump. I'll hook that on the back of my cargo. It will make me use more fuel, though. Do I have enough fuel? Is there a fuel stop on my way to the place where I'm going, or maybe there's one here where I'm at right now?"
Boy, do I have to poop.
I fucking, I love it. It's amazing.
Idiot.
Look it up. It's awesome. Prepare to. I think Wednesdays is the day I was thinking. I might stream on Wednesdays, or I don't know yet. But
Let's do it.
prepare me to
Less talky, more Dewey.
truck. All right, Buck.
The bridge is out.
What else have you got for us this week?
I got a book.
Oh, whoa,
A
cool.
book.
I
Blasphemy.
mean, to be fair, I can't read. Don't worry about it. But I got a book. If you guys have seen them before, but there's a series of these. I have the first 2 Dungeons and Dragons cookbooks that they've
Okay.
made,
Cute.
which are themed
Cute.
Dungeons and Dragons dishes and other things like that.
I like it.
I got
book
the
adjacent.
third one,
I
which
like
is
it.
actually Puncheons and Flagons, the Dungeons and
Oh my
Dragons
fucking god, dude.
cocktail book.
This is so
recipe
funny.
book.
That's
Our
This-
roommate has taken up cocktail mixology as a hobby, like
Cool.
just recently.
Yeah.
So he has all these cocktail cookbooks now.
Dude,
I've never seen them before,
This
but
book just came out like
That's
a
awesome.
2 weeks ago.
That's
It's
so
only
cool.
like I think $25 on Amazon. So you should tell them to pick it up
seriously,
because it's got like over 100, I think, 75 cocktail recipes in here. And it also,
yeah.
I mean, some of them look so fun. Look, if you're YouTube kids, look at this one, the Moonrise,
Oh, that
which is
looks
like looks really
colorful.
pretty, and has grenadine, blackberries, lemonade, coconut cream liqueur in it, tequila, like some neat stuff. And
You
it's got
know-
a bunch of what?
no, I was gonna say, you know what's doubly like why that's so doubly perfect too
Look at this one.
is because nothing goes better with D&D than drinking.
Oh gosh, yes.
Absolutely,
So if you
100%.
fucking
so you
have a
make up a-
D&D
Which-
campaign that you're playing with your friends and you get to make a different drink every
Mhm.
fucking Sunday or whatever, that'd be fun.
Which is funny because Benny was our DM for a long time, and before this cookbook, he brought 1 week he had made these shots called delayed fireball, and it was like a
Haha.
fireball shot mixed with something else, and then
Ba-dum.
you let it sit for a week or something like that.
Cute.
This also has a bunch of like appetizer ideas as
Oh,
well too, or
nice.
cheese boards and things like that, but to do D&D themes with in here.
You could
It's
make
just
you could have your players go to a
tavern or something.
tavern
yeah.
and then make them spend in-game money for
Yeah.
you to make them a
Perfect.
drink in real
Perfect.
life.
That's awesome.
That would
Has a
be
really nice
fun.
glossary. Has a lot of mocktails in here too. If you don't drink alcohol, it's got
Oh,
a bunch
that's
of those in here
Ooh,
too.
I
But
like that.
the other cookbooks have been like phenomenally cool. There's actually a Final Fantasy 14 cookbook also. I have that
Holy
as
shit,
well,
of
and
course
it's
there is.
absolutely wonderful. It's all thematic stuff. But
There's a Stardew Valley one as well that I want to
this
get
is
really
so freaking cool. There was an unofficial one that came out last year. I'm like, that's really cool. But then they announced they were making one. I'm like, well, I'm going to wait for the official one too.
That's
So
cool.
how cool is that?
That is cool. I'm gonna have to get. That sounds like a good Christmas gift for Eric.
Yeah.
We could start playing Dungeons and Dragons again.
Oh
Awesome.
yeah.
Raph, what else have you got for us this week?
Man, I actually have a lot of gaming stuff that I got done this week. I played a couple of games. You're talking about Space Truckers. I decided that I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I've been wanting to play this game for a long time. I tried out the space game, the other space game, the one that is infinite.
Space
and I
Hookers.
can't remember the name now. Oh my god.
Space trash truck driver.
I started playing it the other night.
You're
and I
not
can't
helping.
remember- No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky.
No
Yeah, there
Man's
you go,
Sky.
Jake.
Comedy.
Yes. Yeah, I started playing No Man's Sky the other day, and I was like, holy
Oh.
shit, this game is actually really fun. Pretty
No.
cool game, very big and epic, and yeah, I had a
Yeah.
really good time with it. But I also played a visual novel this week called Milk Inside a Bag of Milk Inside a Bag of Milk.
I've
Mac,
heard
you
of
might
this
want to check
game.
this out. It's like less than
Yes.
$2, I want to say, and it's super
sounds
artsy
like
and
it's up
weird.
his alley.
It's super artsy and weird and kind of scary, and it's fun.
I've heard of
I
this.
I thought it
Ooh,
was kind of
fun.
cool. You're helping this girl buy milk, and it's about things like, I don't even know, like she's
Whoa.
some sort of trauma. I don't know, but like it's kind of about the nature of kindness and being kind to other people, and yeah, very cool, very
This
interesting.
Sounds like a game for me, huh?
Yes, I thought you might like it. I thought you might like it. You should check it out. But the big thing for me is that I bought a Nintendo 3DS.
Yes.
I got it for very cheap. I got it
Great console.
from a coworker who did not want it, and they were offering it up. So I was like, you know what, I will take it. So that's why when earlier you mentioned the Phoenix Wright games, I said maybe I'll check those out because I can do it right on that thing right there. There's a couple of things I got to do to get this going right now. It needs a new battery and stuff like that, but I'm very, very excited for this. I can't wait. I already
I have a
ordered
charger
a game
for you.
it, so.
And I have some Game Boy games for you, Mac. So you guys got to come over.
Man, milk
yeah.
inside a bag of milk inside a bag of milk is $1.50.
It's cheap. Yeah, it's very cheap, and it has a sequel now too. It has a sequel called
It's called
like,
Milk Outside a Bag
Yes.
of Milk Outside a Bag of milk.
Yes,
That's
yeah.
not a joke.
I was
Yeah,
gonna
that's
try
not
and
even a
make a
joke.
joke, and
Yeah.
then I'm sure that's accurate.
That
Yeah,
is
no,
real.
it's-
This game
it's-
looks fucking tight.
it was weird, man. I was playing it the other night. I played it for a couple of hours. There's several endings. It has overwhelmingly positive reviews on there, and it's just a visual novel. But
Purchased.
it's spooky, weird.
Purchase.
Got it.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
That
You gotta check
3DS
it
was
out.
a steal. You got it for like $20.
I got it for pretty cheap. Let's not yeah.
He's afraid it was hot. Okay.
Yeah, I don't
so
know. I
let's
don't know.
not-
The
I don't know
irony
where
is
he
that
got
it's-
this thing, but
Actually
Yeah.
physically hot because he tried to play it today and the battery started overheating.
yeah. Well, the
'cause it's all
battery is
bloated.
swollen. I
Yeah.
saw the back of it. Like I was looking at the back, and I was like, oh, this
It's
thing is
literally
swelling up.
hot.
physically and
And if you look there, like that battery,
that's
is
a spicy
sick.
pillow.
That's ready to blow up in your pants.
Yeah, I should probably get rid of this thing, honestly. But they're cheap. I found them
Straight
for
up
like $10,
dangerous.
so yeah.
Our uncle's house caught on fire because the lithium-ion battery exploded in it.
Really?
Yes, me and Buck's uncle.
Which uncle?
Tom.
How do I get rid of this
When
thing?
was
Like right
this?
now?
Just earlier this year, he had a battery charging
I didn't
for
know that.
a power tool. Left it on the charger when it was already fully charged. Fucking
thanks for
blew
reminding
up.
me. I need to
Caught his
unplug
whole
those.
fucking garage on fire. Burnt like half his house down.
So how do I get
I
rid
did
of
not
this
know that.
quickly?
Eat it quick!
I don't want it right now.
Yeah, those things are dangerous.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I think that pretty much does it for another episode of the Game Treasure Podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening or for watching. If you are just listening, why don't you head on over to our Instagram where you can see our faces in small doses as you doom scroll on the toilet. Finally, you can reach out to us at our email at gametreasurepodcast@gmail.com. Please send us questions that you would like for us. We want to do a grab bag episode where we answer a bunch of questions from listeners. Maybe you've got recommendations for us. Maybe you've got questions for us about games we've played or games that we like, our opinions on things, maybe even non-game related things. That could be fun. You can find links to all that stuff and more, including the King of Video Games t-shirt at linktree/the GTP. We would like to thank Crunkwitch for the use of our theme song, Clash of the Droids. You can find them on Apple Music, Spotify, anywhere you can find music on the internet. We love them. They are legit friendly artists who every time they come down are super, super nice to Buck, and we always end up hanging out with them. And of course, speaking of Buck, we would like to thank RetroGameTreasure.com. Owned and operated by the Mega Buck, Retro Game Treasure is a subscription service that sends collectors customized boxes of retro video games every month. This is the number one way for you to collect retro video games on a budget. Collecting retro video games can be time consuming, it can be energy consuming, and if you're an adult, you don't have the time or energy to do most of that. But what you do have the time and energy to do is simply go to www.retrogametreasure.com and sign up for one of their several tier lists. A new tier list possibly coming soon at the end of this year, possibly an advanced tier list with more expensive games on it. You set
we're
your
working on that now.
profile preferences. You tell them what game consoles you want to collect for. Tell them what game genres you like. Maybe you don't like puzzle games. You really just like shooter games. And then every month, he will send you a customized box of shooter games for the blankety blank. You have the PS2. You have the Xbox 360. You have both. So you get some of
Cool.
some of the other. It's like magic. It works like magic. RetroGameTreasure.com has been obsessed with video games since 1985. Buck, would you like to hit me with your new subscribers this week?
Hey, this week we welcome Brandon Klink, Richard Gleaves, Jesse Christoffel, Wade Hopf, Torrance Richardson, Aiden Blackmeyer, Mark Wickham, and Robert Sutton.
Nice. Thank you guys so much for subscribing. It means a lot. But in the meantime, my name is Max Stein, and I love the Game Treasure podcast. It's so bad.
So bad.